This is Chapter 9, Key Issue 3. Where does level of development vary by gender? So specifically looking at gender-related development index, gender inequality, and gender empowerment. So the gender-related development index compares the level of development of women and then compare that with both all of society, all of population, so that would be men and women. And it uses all the same HDI indicators that used for HDI as you use for just women, and then compare and see if there's inequality. So the bigger the difference between these development indicators for just women and for the entire population, the bigger the difference, the greater the inequality. And as far as United Nations uses Gender Inequality Index, or GII, and it looks like this, to indicate where there's inequality. And it's actually, in a sense, kind of like the opposite. When we looked at HDI, the closer a number was to 1, the greater the development, and it was more of a positive thing. Well, for gender inequality, the greater the number, closest to 1, the greater the inequality. So it's almost like the larger the number now is more of a negative thing. So when you look at the key here, the light color, which has a 0.6 and above, that would be showing greater inequality, and the darker shade here, which is a number closer to 0.39, that would show less inequality. And so you see the areas that tend to be a lot of inequality between genders would be these areas here, and Latin America, and then Africa, Middle East, South Asia, and down into Southeast Asia. Right. So just like HDI, the Gender-Related Development Index uses the same indicators. So economic indicator would be using the GDP per capita. So comparing all of society with females, females always have a lower income doing the same type of work. So females on average in NBCs get 2/3 of a male income, and then in LDCs the income for female lags far behind. There was no given percent. But then you look here, you got the 60 to 100% of what a male would earn for a particular job, and then even below 40%, largely North Africa, Middle East, into South Asia, and down a little bit into Southeast Asia. Also in Latin America. Looking at the social indicators, this would be the quantity of school, so number of years male and females would go to, and this map is looking in particular at school attendance, and then also your literacy rate. MDCs, usually female and male literacy rate is nearly equal. LDC literacy rate is going to be more unequal. So especially in areas like Africa, Middle East, and into South Asia. So this, the kind of the reddish or rust color, this is where there's gender balance, where you have male and females all going to school about the same equal numbers, not one more than another. The pinkish color, light reddish color, is where there's more females actually going to school and enrolled in school. And then the purple shade is where there's more males going to school. So again, largely this area in Latin America, Africa, Middle East, South Asia, down into Southeast Asia. And this is looking at literacy. So this is just male literacy, and then here just female literacy. So if you see differences, then that's the difference. So you see China here more males than females who can read and write. You see India is a big difference. And look at some, like Mexico is a difference, and a few countries here like Peru, Bolivia, you see a different, and then you see various countries here in Africa as lighter shades, a little bit darker shades here. The demographic indicator, life expectancy, this is actually kind of the opposite. As far as a higher percentage or a higher number, life expectancy, females always, on average, live longer than men in both MDCs and LDCs. The difference is that in MDCs, women live an average of 6 years longer than men, and LDCs live only 1 or 2 years longer than men. So you can see here 1 year or less, Africa, Middle East, South Asia, and then up to 10 years longer, you see those, Russia, 6 to 9 is the kind of the pinkish color. Alright, so that's basically your gender inequality or gender equality. Then there's this gender empowerment. Empowerment is the ability to make decisions, the power to make decisions. So women can participate in economic and political decision making, and so that's in terms of empowerment. And economics, think about women working in a big corporation, being a CEO or being in a management position to make decisions. Political empowerment would be like being the president or the leader of the country or Congress or Senate or judge, some political position. So looking here at gender empowerment in both economic and political powerful decision-making positions all together. So 0.7 and above, so still no equal, and then below 50%, below 0.5. For empowerment. You can see this is kind of a split map here. You have South Asia, Middle East, into China, where you've got North Africa, and into Middle East. You see more empowerment in your MDCs. Specifically looking at economic empowerment and then also political, here you've got female professional technical workers in decision-making positions, 16 above, so you can see, and then below 50 would be the lighter colors. Here you have political indicator of empowerment, so legislators, positions of power, 30 and above, and this is even just a smaller number, so much less, or much fewer women in positions of power politically. In MDCs, generally about 1/3, but maybe greater than 1/3, 1 out of every 3 positions in government would be a woman. LDCs would be less than 1/4. Europe's a little bit more. Other MDCs, about 1/5. This is in public office. So almost every country has a lower gender empowerment, GEMs, than GDI. So this means that women possess a greater share of the country's resources. That's this equality or inequality, right? Access to those resources like literacy or healthcare. So they have possess a greater share of country's resources than the power over the allocation of those resources. Power as in that decision-making position to make decisions about how those resources like education and healthcare are allocated or distributed or allowed to society. Okay, so that is gender inequality, gender empowerment.